Radio Helsinki, hyvää päivää. Täällä vieraanani on Annie Clark. Welcome to Radio Helsinki.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Finland again.
I'm so glad to be back.
Mm-hmm. You were playing at Flow Festival. Do you remember anything else but Björk?
Oh, yeah. Well, we were playing at the same time as Björk, so I didn't get to see her. But we went to the festival the day before and saw Swans, and it was a life-changing event.
Oh my God! Tell me about Swans.
I love Swans. It's so evil.
Evil?
Yeah.
Evil. You like evil things.
Yeah.
What's so special about evil?
Well, I like Michael Gira's stage persona, which is like alcoholic dad. And it's one of those things where you can't tell if it's fully real or if he's putting on an act. But everybody's just playing to the point where their fingers bleed and they just go, and kind of push past the point of discomfort. It seems to me, maybe the guys would say a different story, but push past the point of discomfort into total transcendence.
Mm. That's a good way to perform.
Absolutely. It's a very brave way to perform, I think.
It is. I guess I was thinking about what do you mean with your lyrics, for example, you know. Then I said, what is the metaphor for rattlesnake? Okay. Then I remembered Lou Reed said, when rattlesnakes lose their skins and their hearts. But is this rattlesnakes all about, you know, losing your skin or what? The opening song on your latest album.
Well, it's actually a word-for-word true story that happens to sort of sit comfortably as a metaphor for a lot of things. But I was in West Texas recording, writing this new record, and I went out to a very remote piece of property that a friend of mine owns, and she said, when you get out there, just take your clothes off and go wandering around by yourself. So I started walking and did that very thing, and all of a sudden heard a sound and kind of tried to console myself thinking that it could be the wind, but then I realized there wasn't any wind, because if there was wind, I would feel it. And then I turned my head and I saw a rattlesnake, you know, about 5 feet from me, and just took off running.
Oh my God. That's the problems of humans of a modern age. How to handle with the nature.
Yes, it was a funny thing too, because this part of land where I was, there was no cell reception. So all of the ways that I could normally look to the internet to go, I didn't know if cows attacked or not. I thought, better not get too close because they're going to, stampede us or something. I had no idea. And ended up picking up cow bones, and then only to find out later that, that's how you get, so they make anthrax. The spores of anthrax come from it. All of these things that just people like us, city slickers, and people in the modern world don't have to deal with and don't know anything about.
Mm. But sort of like, I've just noticed when I was listening to your music, and at the same time I was watching the screen and, thinking about what is digital witness, and it's like, thinking about, oh my God, what would it be if I would make music and I wouldn't have anything to do with the digital world? Do you ever think about it, or is the digital witness, or sort of like a feel of the album, sort of like you are watching outside, inside, or inside, outside? That's sort of like a...
Yeah, I think, now that we have the internet and social media so ingrained into our everyday existence, it becomes, obviously in the analog world, we perform ourselves. Mm-hmm. We have this haircut or this shirt or whatever it is that sort of gives people some indication of what's lurking inside. But nowadays we have this other medium in which to create a sort of idealized version of ourselves. And there's a lot of life performance between, taking a picture of your lunch to, posting that you have a stomach ache on Facebook or whatever it is. There's all this, all these ways in which to share, but it's a little bit dada in my estimation. None of it not a whole lot of it amounts to art, though most of it is performance.
Oh, I just started laughing and thinking about my youth and telling, oh, I took the picture of cheese and macaroni for the people.
You know what? Back in the day, if you actually had to go develop that film, there's no way you would take a picture of macaroni and cheese. You wouldn't take a picture of that,
So everything would be, something special and with a real meaning.
Well, I think that if we are able to perform identity all the time, sometimes it can preclude that kind of special moment that you have with art or with experience that's just for you. And I'm in no way a naysayer of the modern world. I wouldn't have a career if I weren't a computer nerd from my teenage years on. And I write on the computer and I'm fully integrated in everything. So it's not a full-on indictment by any means, but I think for me, I just hit a point where I went, okay, what is it that connects me to humanity and compassion, and what is it that disconnects me from those things, and how can I parcel out what completely disconnects me from those things and put value on things that actually makes me want to be empathetic, present, compassionate with other people, because ultimately that to me is what I value.
Mm-hmm. That's a real challenge, I guess. To be here and say something that is meaningful for the people, that's what I wish I could do sometimes. But mostly this is just sort of like a gibberish type of things that I say. Some words scroll out of my mouth, and sometimes they mean something. That's quite a good point. Or somebody hears it the wrong way, and it has a meaning. Oh my God. Maybe we should listen to music. What do you think? The song is called Birth in Reverse. So does this mean that we have to get back to be live again?
I don't know. Is it a devolution? Is it a... I have no idea.
Well, maybe we find a meaning for the life in this song. Maybe not, but let's listen to it. Radio Helsingissä meillä on vieraana Annie Clark, ja minä olen tällaisessa hyvin hyperaktiivisessa olotilassa johtuen siitä, että yritän samaan aikaan ajatella englanniksi ja puhua englanniksi, mutta sitten minun pitää välillä sanoa suomeksi, että kuuntelette Radio Helsinkiä vuoden radiota kello 12.11, ja tämä oli siis musiikkia St. Vincentin leviltä St. Vincent Birth in Reverse. This album has been a real critical success, or, the critics have loved it everywhere. How does it feel to you, Annie?
Well, that's nice. It's nice that people like it. I care that the fans like it. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad that critics like it too. Mm-hmm.
So you don't consider the critics so much of a power?
Well, I think the way that people hear about music and the way that people ingest music these days is very diffuse. So it's great. I feel, glad certainly to have critics at newspapers and whatnot get behind the record. But I mean, ultimately, that's not why I make music.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have made a different record if I thought, critics would like it more or something. It's you can't really think about exactly where it's going to land when you're making it. You just have to let the music be what it wants to be.
Yeah. We just sometimes have this illusion that we are the curators of the music, that.
No, I think in a big way that's true. But also, a kid doing a cover of Justin Bieber on YouTube is more views than I'll ever have. So, it's a funny world these days.
Yeah. How did you feel that when you heard that you were invited to play Nirvana or sing and play Nirvana at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame concert?
I feel the same way that I feel now, which is disbelief. I can't even process that experience. Nirvana, the band, means so much to me and meant so much to me at an age when you are just devouring music, when music is your monolith, your pantheon, whatever. And so to have it come full circle however many years later and get asked to be a very small part of that legacy, psychically it felt like, wow, maybe I'm on the right path if this is what's coming back around. But also way more than that, I just felt immense gratitude to the legacy and to the band and to the remaining members who really have a psychic burden on them. I mean, it was really sad. Mm-hmm. It was still so palpably sad.
Yeah, that's the when you do something so legendary in your life, how to live after that? What is the afterlife? Well, maybe Steve Albini, who's got his band called Shellac. He's coming this week here to Helsinki. Yeah. So what's your message to Steve, because he's coming here on Wednesday?
Tell Steve hi, and that I'm happy to teleconference that the charity event at Second City this year.
Okay, can you tell us what was that charity?
I did it last year, and they do it every year. They help make Christmases better for kids who are underprivileged, and raise a lot of money doing this all-night kind of telethon performance at Second City, which is really, really famous Chicago improv comedy institution. And last year I was able to teleconference in during rehearsals. I couldn't be there, unfortunately, and I'll do the same thing this year.
Okay. The charity is sort of like a thing that is so big in America, and we over here in Finland, we are sort of like we're not just so used to the charity.
Well, you have more social safety nets to where people actually live a high quality of life, so you don't need as much charity.
But the problem is, like in times of these, in financial times of these, we are getting more and more to everybody should help themselves, because the welfare system cannot afford everything, and that's sort of like a real sad situation. And everybody's telling that we're heading to the American way of,
No.
You say no, and he says no.
I mean, I realize, the grass is always greener, and maybe I have a too idealized version of the. Please forgive me for sort of lumping Scandinavia into one thing. Please forgive me for that, because I know it's totally culturally varied every place, and nobody wants to be lumped in. But in terms of social welfare and quality of life and education, and I mean, the American system is really, really broken, broken. And so I sort of idealize what you guys have going over here, at least in terms of just everyday quality of life for people. But I was talking to this girl in Trondheim, Norway, not too long ago, and she was bartending and at a hotel, and she was probably in her late 20s and had every degree imaginable, short of a doctorate. And she was saying how she can't get a job because the parents, basically the older generation, is still, because of the social welfare system, which keeps people healthy, also keeps those people working longer. So the young generation, this is like the first crop of kids who are so qualified and so educated and have no place to go. Is it the same here?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It is like that.
So what does that do to a population when you have a highly educated? What kind of weird ways does that seep into the culture? And like that energy has to go somewhere. So where does it go?
We don't know, but somebody knows. Perhaps the log knows, like the log lady says. The log knows who killed Laura Palmer. So, can you ask who killed Laura Palmer? Yeah, the log knows, but it won't tell. So it's like life has always its way, and I guess that people are creating, if they got more cultural sort of like power, they can create certain ways. And of course, we don't know what is going to happen with, for example, all this digital world. What do the people need in their lives? What can we, give the people? We never know. Suddenly somebody has a great idea. Maybe we could do like this and that. And suddenly everybody's involved in it. So that's the way it went, for example, with the telephones. Like, I remember it was something like 12 years ago, a friend of mine was like, I've made a movie with my handy cellular camera, with, just like that. Okay. Sounds interesting. Where does it go from there? Now the kids are doing their Instagram videos, just like that. Mm-hmm. Where does it go from there? We never know.
You mean where does it go in terms of an actual audience, or where's technology headed?
Yeah, that's the main question. Where are we heading to? Where are we heading to with music, or where are we heading to with all our lives? What are we going to do in the future?
I mean, I think that synchronicity is near. I think that's probably the next wave, or some sort of virtual. I mean, you can't say the words virtual reality because it sounds so 90s, but some sort of integrated actual physical reality and virtual reality quite merged without screens. I think that's probably the next wave. And I don't know, it gets to the question of I was reading that our eyesight over the past 100 years has gotten progressively worse because we're no longer required to see long distances. A lot of what we have is right in front of our faces, or what we look at most of the day. And so technology is changing us, and I wonder what the end game. I mean, obviously, I don't think there's an end game. I think we just will probably fritter away until to obsolescence at some point. Mother Earth will shake us off like a bad case of fleas, in the words of George Carlin. But it is curious. It's a curious state of affairs, and the sort of ugly specter in the room that, I mean, I don't like talking about, but that is a real reality, is, the monetizing of music. That obviously what someone is able to make and sustain is going to be dictated by market demands. And so you see a lot of younger bands very early on getting into bed with corporations in a way that in the early 90s, say, people would go, oh, you're a sellout, that sucks. But now it's sort of this means of survival and, the branch of corporate branding and this and that and the other. And that's a way, that's a way, but it can't help but reflect in the art itself eventually. So I wonder what kind of slippery slope we're going, going down, because artists are very much on their knees to be able to make a living making art.
Yeah, but revolution is always evolution. When the other power is going up, the other one is creating its power to get up. It's like yin and yang. The circle goes on forever. Shall we say? Well, about this album, I would like to probably, which will we play? I prefer Your Love. That's a beautiful song. So maybe that will give some sort of new aspect to people who really don't know that, okay, we're here so dead serious and, thinking about the whole world, but, what is bigger than love? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Radio Helsingissä täällä vieraana on Annie Clark, and Vincent is performing tonight at Circus. Can you tell us about your band? Is it the same band than 2 years ago?
It's the same band, yeah. Speaking of technology, we use a lot of technology on stage, but we don't play to track or anything like that. It's real sound made by real people, but just using a lot of gadgets.
Yeah. That was the thing when I was listening to your album. Where are the guitars? What happened to the electric guitar? Or has it gone through the gadgets? In some songs it's made to sound not like guitar or stuff like that.
Yeah, I would say about 50% of the guitar on this latest record, is not instantly recognizable as guitar.
Mm-hmm. Why was that? You bored with the electric guitar, the mighty electric guitar?
Well, I don't know. I think the electric guitar, I love it. I have always played electric guitar, but I've become increasingly more hip to the idea that it's just a noisemaker, and there's no great, trinity that you need to be holding up playing the electric guitar. Just use it like you'd use anything else. And so some of my favorite riffs I've written on the computer, or were vocal melodies, and then I transpose them, because guitar players sort of get weaned on these couple pentatonic scales and these couple finger positions and this, and all of a sudden, you're doing a bad version of, Albert King before you know it. And there's just no reason to do that. It's been done well, and it's been done very poorly. And you should just stay away from it if you can.
Yeah. I remember somebody called Eric Clapton.
Oh, I hate him. I'm sorry. I hate his guitar playing. I'm so sorry. I should not say that. But I wish all people the best. I hate his guitar playing. I hate it so much.
Yeah, but that's great that you said it, because you are trying to get rid of that sort of like a slow hand elements, and just like, I'm so comfortable with my bluesy feeling type of thing.
Yeah, because if you put him up against the people he was copying, it's so lame. It's so lame. It does not compare. It just was like the palatable white version for Brits at the time. And he never got any better. I'm so sorry. I keep my opinions. I keep my bad opinions to myself. On this matter, I can't, because there seems like a racism undertow to his playing that I can't abide.
One good thing he did, he made Tulsa worldwide known because he played J.J. Cale.
Oh, J.J. Cale's a great guitar player.
He is?
Yeah.
We should have more J.J. Cales.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. I have a joke that goes, Eric Clapton's best guitar solo was played by Duane Allman.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's what I take it every time I go to meet my friends, in the blues bar. So we have
Sorry.
So you met one of the guys who made, some sort of a new wave to rock music and open up a new frontier of rock music, because I guess David Byrne made it with his view about music. What was after the punk, he made some collaboration with Brian Eno about sampling and doing stuff, and of course Talking Heads is one of the greatest bands ever. And you
agreed.
You worked with him. What is so special about the man?
Well, I don't throw the word around, but the man's a genius. What's so great about him is that no matter what happens, he's still so curious. He's got a sort of life buoyancy that has served him really, really well, in that he remains ageless and is able to kind of, have his fingers in so many different styles and projects, and all kind of put them through his own unique voice. I mean, what I like to think about David, like especially in, say, the early Talking Heads stuff where, late 70s, New York, disco was happening. It's like if disco is A, he was sort of aiming for A, but by the time it went through his bizarre lens and his body and that band, they got Z, but Z was way cooler.
Yeah. That's what I think, so many things, like he showed the way to Southern Soul for a white young punk here in Helsinki, Finland. He showed also the way to American music or ambient music, or then the world music, all the things what Luokka has, showed us, and, that's the way to go. That must be some sort of thing that, to create something new, to be interested in things. I guess you are one of the persons who is interested in a lot of things. So what are you up to after this album that came this year?
I've been making a lot of beats on the road, because that's an easy way for me, rather than, I don't sometimes have the mental capacity to sit down and write a song with all the traveling and doing the shows, but I do have the capacity to sample and make beats and just have fun. And that's a way for me to keep my brain agile. What else am I doing?
What do you use for making the beats? Are you using iPad or MacBook Pro? Or?
A machine. It's
okay.
It's a sampler, drum machine kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And so probably I've got a number of things that I want to do, that most of which I can't talk about right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I have currently too many ideas, and again, none of which I can really talk about. But I'll say I'm making a lot of beats, and I don't know. I've been reading the book about Going Clear, that book about Scientology.
Okay.
Not Dianetics. I'm not reading Dianetics. I'm reading the book about the life of L. Ron Hubbard, which is, I'm always fascinated by people who are grand, be it charlatans or con men or magicians or whatever, Mm-hmm. I find no matter what the end, people whose own narcissism plus imagination is able to kind of create this whole other world that people somehow miraculously believe in.
Mm-hmm. So that's, at the same time, it's interesting and scary.
Absolutely.
That's about the same thing that people are still interested in, making a lot of, documents about the Adolf Hitler and Nazis, because I guess he wasn't a genius, but he made his own scary type of world in his head.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Are you when you're reading the book, are you thinking about, is he a manipulator, or do you go to the positive or to the negative side, or can you stay, between the things and
Oh, if I zoom out, then it's just another interesting facet of human history. I mean, his brand of self-mythology is so overblown from what actually happened. It's just this funny thing where it's like, well, actually he was discharged from army service in this year and he never really saw combat. But in his memoirs, he sunk 2 Japanese submarines and, all this stuff is just like, wow. the truth and your version of the truth could not be further from one another. But it's just interesting. It's like, especially the fact that it's a uniquely American, I realize Scientology is many branches, but the fact that it's a uniquely American religion, like it really took root there and in Hollywood, is a fascinating intersection to me. You know, because you have all these people who are looking for answers, and I think a lot of artists have a psychic wound, and so that's why they're, you know, scouring the earth, trying to fill it. Yeah. And so you have that intersecting with somebody who's going, hey, I've got the answers, and by the way, this will help your career. And it's just like so combustible, of course. And like, of course that took root in America. Of course that took root in Hollywood, because there's also the like kind of gospel of wealth attached to it. It's just so fascinating. And not at all confounding, really, how he was able to accumulate as many followers and as much wealth as he did.
Well, the afterlife. No, I thank you for coming here, Annie Clark, and I wish you a very, very good tour here in Europe, and tonight, of course, at Circus. A brilliant gig, like we say.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.